Welcome back to the cemetery. I'll be reading a short story written by me. I post Mondays and Thursdays. I hope you enjoy. Hell's Highway. Have you ever been parked on the side of the highway at night and feel something or someone watching you? Well, for Carly and Clint, it wasn't just their imagination. One late summer night, a young couple, Clint and Carly, were driving down a dark, eerie highway covered up by fog. As they carefully navigated around the sharp turns and potholes, everything seemed right with the world. After all, they had lots to look forward to. This was their first vacation together, but it wasn't love brewing on the desolate highway. It was something much more terrifying. Hours have passed since they first turned onto Highway 491. They started noticing strange things. They occasionally saw dark shadows on the side of the road standing upright. Some of them appeared to be waving. They just brushed it off to being just their imagination playing tricks on them. After all, they were exhausted from the long drive and there wasn't much to see but darkness. They couldn't ignore the truth much longer. Right in front of them was a person, standing in the glow of their headlights. Clint and Carly's hearts dropped as Clint slammed on his brakes and tried to swerve out the way, causing them to veer off the road and into a small ditch. Clint quickly opened his door and stepped out. There was no one there. He walked around for a bit, checking both sides of the road, but there was nothing to see. Carly got out of the car to see what was happening. Clint shrugged his shoulders, signifying that he had no idea what it was. The air was still, and it had an unfamiliar smell to it. All sound began to fade, like everything but their car vanished from the earth. They sat back in their car and pulled out their cell phones to call for help, but they had no service. Carly said nervously, "What do we do?" "I don't know. I guess we're stuck here. I'll see if I can get service in the morning," Clint replied, trying not to sound too scared. So they sat there in the darkness, with only the radio to entertain them. Carly couldn't sit still. She has never been in a situation like this before. Clint held her hand, looking out the window at the endless nothingness, when something ran down the road. Clint jumped in his seat. "What was that?" he shouted, darting his eyes around where the mysterious creature was. Carly looked at him wide-eyed. "What did you see?" "I don't know. I think someone is out there." Clint slowly placed his hand on the door handle. Carly grabbed his other arm, saying, "No, please, don't go out there." Clint opened the door and then placed one foot on the ground. He searched all around before stepping out completely. "Is someone there?" Carly asked. Clint saw something standing a few yards down the road. "Hello there," Clint shouted, waving his hand. Carly sat nervously in the car, trying to see who Clint was talking to, but she didn't see anyone. Clint stepped out onto the road and started slowly walking towards the person. "Hey, are you okay?" The person just stood there. Carly looked into the side mirror and saw a woman standing behind their car with a shadowy face. She quickly looked back at Clint, walking down the road, not knowing how to get his attention. She looked back into the mirror and the woman was gone. "Hey, I'm talking to you. What's your problem?" Clint yelled with annoyance to the mysterious person he was walking towards. Clint heard a loud horn behind him. He jumped backwards and off to the side, thinking it was a vehicle, but nothing was there. He turned back towards the person, but they vanished. He looked around for a bit, then returned to his car. He opened the door and sat down. "I'm losing it," he said to Carly. He turned his head and Carly was now all bloody. Her eyes were missing and her jaw hung open. "Holy hell!" Clint screamed. He tried to quickly get out the car, but Carly grabbed his collar. He tried to pull away but couldn't. Not knowing what else to do, he punched her square in the nose and jumped out the car. When he got away from the car, he looked back and Carly was herself again. She was crying and bleeding from her nose. Clint quickly got in and tried to explain himself as he held onto her arm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You weren't you. What do you mean I wasn't me? Oh God, I think my nose is broken. Carly shouted between gasps. Clint gripped the steering wheel, ripping at it. What the hell is going on? He slowly composed himself and said calmly, we gotta get out of here. How? The car is stuck. We are walking. Come on. Clint got out the car. So did Carly. Carly was still dazed from the punch, so she had to have Clint hold her as she walked. As they walked down the road, ghostly cries were heard all around them. They were both terrified by the noise, so they picked up the pace. As they walked further, ghostly silhouettes started to appear, and then full-on people stood on the side of the road. Clint and Carly didn't speak. They just kept walking past a long line of lost souls. Their fears subsided when they started to notice they weren't in danger. After walking for quite some time, they approached a little girl standing in the middle of the road. They stopped in front of her. She was wearing a blood-covered dress, her arms were misshapen, and her face was covered in scars. She slowly raised up her hand, pointing behind them with a crooked finger. Clint and Carly turned around, and right behind them were bright lights from a big semi-truck. Their hearts sank in their chest. All sound returned, and now all they could hear was screeching brakes and a loud air horn. That was the last sound they ever heard. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment about what you thought of the story. More to come. Good day.